Well, one of Cradley's helpers in the past, and of course one of the main tuners for one of the Cradley riders, Erik Gundersen. We're here at Erik Gundersen night tonight. I mean, memories of Erik for you, what memories have you got?
Oh, so many, you know. I mean, it goes back to when he first came over, and Dan McCormack told me, you know, he was going to come out for a try run, and they got a bike that they'd got from Davy Perks, and he said, I want you to take that up to Ellesmere Port, and he had to go out to Ellesmere Port riding for Cradley, and the bike was not the best, but I apologised to Erik about the bike before he started. But he still knocked off 8 points, you know, and it was fantastic. He's a little guy, but his style even then was just fantastic, you know.
Yeah, I mean, one of the proudest moments for you must have been that, as you said, that the track record at Wembley.
Absolutely, you know. Unfortunately, he stopped in one race due to a little slither of plastic in the fuel line that got into the carburettor and into the main jet and stopped it. Otherwise, who knows what could have happened there, you know. But he just flowed in that race, you know. It looked like it was going to be a quick time, and it was a track record.
And I mean, moving on from when he had that really bad accident at Bradford, you know, I mean, I was there that night covering the event for the radio, and it was like everybody sort of big gasp, and everyone was looking and thinking, is Erik okay? And it ended up being pretty bad for him. I mean, do you think he'd have gone on, if he hadn't have had that injury, would he have gone on and won more World Championships, do you think? Yeah,
I'm sure he was. He was at the top of his game then, so I'm sure he would, you know. He was a thinking rider, you know. There's no reason why he couldn't have been like Greg is today, you know, and carried on for quite a bit more, yeah.
I'm dying to ask this, as an engine tuner, what do you guys do? Because it's very complex, and you've all got hidden secrets of what was your speciality, do you think?
Well, fortunately, back in the day when Anders Michenet rode at Cradley, that's when I got into Speedway. I was playing a bit on a Speedway bike. I used to go around all the training schools in the winter at Wolves and Cradley, and I got a 2-valve jar and I rode a bit, and I second halved a bit at Cradley. So I got to understand what it took to ride a Speedway bike and what you needed to do, you know, and I think that helped quite a bit with the engine tuning. And bikes have been my life. I left school at 15 and on the Friday and went and started work at the local motorbike shop on the Monday, you know, and I've always worked on bikes all my life, you know, and then I made redundant at the bike shop, and it was either get another job or start doing the Speedway stuff, so that's what I did, you know. And in the early days, I must admit, I was learning as much as anything, you know, but I got my head around it and got them working quite well, you know. I worked close with Michael Daniels at the Westlake factory. They had their own foundry down there, and I was able to go down there. He'd phone me up and say, Eddie, we're casting cylinder heads this week, do you want to come down? And I'd go down there and change the shape of the casting, and they'd send the heads up and I'd report them different shape, different ways, and you know, they helped quite a lot, you know, and just getting the setups right really for the particular tracks, you know, that's the main thing.
Well, I mean, listen to Erik, and he was mentioning about, you know, him and you work very closely together. It must have been a great partnership, you know, a guy coming out from Denmark to this country and learned his not professional trade, but progressing as he did over here, you know, I mean, with Cradley, with the Denmark team as well. I mean, to become a world champion. Yeah. So you had a lot of involvement in that, really, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Erik was a perfectionist, you know. I really liked working with Erik. He used to live in a village only 5 miles away from me, and I was always up the house in the kitchen, helping make the coffee, and we'd be around the table in the kitchen deciding what we could do, you know, and what we couldn't do. And I mean, Erik used to build all his own bikes, you know, his new bikes. He'd build all his new bikes, and the attention to detail and the little things that he used to do to them, he was an absolute perfectionist, you know, and it was just a pleasure working with him, you know.
Well, I can't believe it. I mean, I'm here with Dad, son, and grandson, and all Cradley fans as well.
Oh yes.
So how long have you been going?
1960.
1960.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you, Erik Gundersen, of course, that's what we're here for tonight, about Erik Gundersen.
Yeah.
I mean, what does he mean to you as a rider?
Fantastic rider.
As an ambassador for the club?
Oh, definitely, no two ways about it. The most fantastic person I've ever met.
And one of your favourite meetings, can you remember anything?
All of them, I think, all of them. I haven't got, can't pick a favourite out of my mind at the moment. But every one was a cracker of a meeting. In them days, it was fantastic. The sport at Cradley, the crowd and everything else was absolutely fantastic.
Well, I've got a little true story for you here, right? A good friend of mine, actually, his first Speedway meeting, he got his first pocket money and he went to Wolverhampton. And he got back home and he said to his dad said to him, "Where have you been?" And he said, "I've been to Wolverhampton." He said, "Right, next week I'll treat you." So he drove him down to Dudley Wood and he said, "There's your money to get in." He said, "You will never go to Wolverhampton Speedway again." And since then he's been a Cradley fan. I mean, like your lad, when did your lad start going down to Cradley?
The eldest, he was about 4 or 5 months old when he first went. So he was in a little pram when we took him down. And
4 or 5 months old?
Yeah.
You started him young, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what about the grandson? Is he following it now?
Oh, he comes to the new heathen, Gerard.
I feel sorry actually for the young ones now, in all fairness, because they haven't got the glory days. You know, I joined Speedway in, I think it was 88 at Wolverhampton, and I used to get, going down to Dudley Wood, the kids used to come up to me and like scare at me and like, "Oh, you am that Wolves bloke, what you doing down here? You am that Wolves bloke." But that was the rivalry. I mean, you know, the Dudley Wood trophy.
Yeah,
I mean,
trophy,
it wasn't a major trophy, but to us, Wolverhampton and Dudley and Cradley, it was amazing.
It was fantastic, that was, with the bank holiday Monday meetings like that, to get the whole lot done in one day. It was fantastic entertainment them days.
Even Richard, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, Porky. How are you going, my man?
I'm not bad. I mean, this night tonight is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you know, Erik, legend.
Totally special, Porky. Totally special. This man is something so wonderful in Speedway. Yeah, over all the years and legends and this and the other. That's why I had to come.
I remember many years ago I went to the World Final in Munich and I was covering it for Beacon Radio. Yeah. And I remember an old guy called Tom Johnson from the Express and Star. Dear old Tom.
A legend.
He was a legend. And he said to me, "Have you got a ticket to get in the pits?" I said, "Yeah." "How did you manage to blag that?" I said, "I'm a friend of Ronnie Corrie's." He's going, "Oh, right, okay. Can you get me in?" And I said, "No," because I wanted the exclusive. And the exclusive was, during the meeting, of course, Erik, he blew his engine.
Yeah.
And he came out and he came into the pits, and I ran down and scurried down, and I got in the pits. I got the first interview with Erik Gundersen, and he was like gutted, absolutely gutted. Yeah. But he'd always got time for you.
I'll give you a great story, Porky, about that, because after the 86 World Final, I always remember a certain section of the press really had a go at Gundo about being a bad loser. I've never forgotten that, because I didn't understand it, because I knew Erik and he was never a bad loser, you know, and he really got a caning. And I can always remember a couple of years later at a World Final, sorry, mine's gone a bit where I was, but my job then was to go and see Erik, and he lost again. And I remember going down in the pits, and Heller was standing right by the pit gate, and I walked up to Heller and I said, "I'm really sorry, Heller, it's a shame it's not happened." She said, "Oh, it's not a problem. And I said, "Is there any chance of speaking to Erik?" She said, "Oh, he'd love to see you, you know." And she bulldozed me through the security wherever we were, and I ended up in this little corridor, and Erik was talking to all the Danish press, because it was massive in those days for the Danish press.
Yeah.
You know, radio, TV, the whole lot. And there's Muggins here standing there, you know, on the background. I'm nobody, you know. And Erik saw me, he said, like that, and I stood there, and then he came over, and we went down to a little corner, and he was just gold dust, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a moment for me when I just thought, this man is very special. You know, he's lost the biggest thing for that time. He's been slagged off by people that I work with, and yet he's still prepared to, You know,
Yeah.
I thought that was wonderful.
I think I cast my mind back the World Final, of course, in Bradford.
Yeah.
Sorry, the team cup in Bradford. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that night there, I mean, it was like, I loved Bradford because it was that big sweeping bend. You come off that big turn down the straight, and they came down off the. I think it was the second turn or what it was. They came down that back straight. Eric tended to lock up a little bit, and then of course, what happened.
All hell broke loose.
And then it was like you could hear the silence in the crowd.
Oh,
it was
eerie.
It was very eerie, wasn't it?
And
it was like, and I was doing stuff live on the radio at the time. It was like, I can't believe this has happened.
No,
and can you come back to us and we will talk to you later about this.
My vivid memories of that day are I'm sitting up in the press box, and I was great friends with most of the Danish journalists, and they were in tears after that very first race. And of course, the meeting goes on, and you've got a real lack of information going on. No one knows what's happened. All we know is all 4 riders have been carted off, to hospital. We don't know, but one seems to be serious. And I remember Ulla, the very famous Danish journalist, and he leaned across to me because they announced on the PA system, Erik is sitting up, laughing in his hotel bed. And I've heard this English translation. And Ula's leant forward to me and he said, Clarky, what have they said? And I said, well, I don't understand Ula, because they said he's sitting up in bed laughing. I said, but I don't think that's the case. No. I didn't know. No. I said, but I'm sure that's wrong. I don't know why they announced it to this day.
I mean, it's quite funny because I can't even tell you now who won the tournament, because it was insignificant really, because once it happened, people were like going, well, it doesn't really, it doesn't matter anymore. And then as the days went on, we found out how serious
I remember going back in the pits straight after the meeting, because my job was still obviously to carry on as you do. And poor old Simon comes back from the hospital, and I know Simon really, really well. And he got out of a car that had taken him back to the track, and he greeted his wife Andrea, and I'm close friends with both of them, and Andrea's hugging him, and Simon's crying, and Simon's the hardest, he was in those days, hardest man you can think of. And I'm just hovering on the outskirts, and I walked over and I said, are you alright? And he said, it's not good about Erik. And that's the first time I realised things weren't good, They weren't good. But what I will say is an astonishing little man, an astonishing giant of a little man, to fight back from all of that. I went up to see him at Penderfields Hospital. I've seen him many times since, including, and this is why I'm here tonight, he's such a special man. He's an extraordinary human being. His wife is an extraordinary human being. His daughter is an extraordinary human being. They're an extraordinary family, and I'm proud to know them. They give me, I don't know, a belief in something that I don't really believe in, but they give it to me.
I think if you're having a bad day, you can think of Erik Gundersen.
Always, Porky. I look back at them and I think, what have I got to complain about? And they fought through it all, and it's just fantastic the way everyone's turned out tonight. I think is wonderful, because I know he's a star. I've always known he's a star, and at long last, I think Nana is starting to realise, my dad was actually something special. How lovely is that?
I think it was I think it was overwhelming for him really, because when he arrived, you see him sat down there, and you could sense in his voice he was getting choked up.
Of course.
I mean, I know that Nigel Pearce and the rest of the guys have been trying to get him out for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Come over, Eric. This is not, because he's a very quiet man, very reserved man.
He is.
He doesn't like the limelight, does he?
Not
I mean,
at all.
I think to sit up there tonight and see
Yeah.
well over 400 people
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
to see a man that hasn't been in the sport for a long, long time
Absolutely.
as a rider, he's an
Yeah.
absolute testament to him, isn't it?
He is just. It's what you want every former rider to be. I can run a list past you. Peter Collins, Chris Morton, Malcolm Simmons, all these people that still love the sport, and I love them because they love the sport. And Eric, Jano Pedersen, he's here tonight. Alan Graham, that's why I love this sport.
And I think the interesting thing is the fact is that the guys like Jano, like Alan, even Ronnie Corrie, they knew that Eric was going to be here.
Ronnie.
They wanted to come here and see
Because it's Eric.
Eric. That's a great testament
It's
to him,
very
isn't it?
special, mate.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, right.
Enjoy the rest of your night, and the
will
beer's on him.
I'll enjoy the rest of my life. AFC Wimbledon. Trust me, we're going miles this year.
Yeah, well, here we are on a very special night, and who better to talk about Eric than the people who know him best? Hella, Eric's wife, and Eric's daughter, Nana, as well. Hella, you've been really responsible more than anybody for bringing Eric over here. You just told him, right, we're doing it.
Yes, I did. I said to him, we haven't been on a holiday for 19 years because he's always busy and he won't fly, blah, blah, blah. So this year I said, right, find 2 weeks where you ain't doing anything, or, just make him free. And he says, yeah, okay. This is why, and this is, we're going on a holiday. And he says, okay, this is where we're going. He says, we're going to England. And he was like, okay. And that's how it came about. And I told him to call you.
Yeah.
Which he didn't do for like a week. And then I said, so if you don't call Nigel, I will.
And we did it. It's here.
Yes.
So your time in England, Hella, you were there for most of the time that Eric rode here, and special memories for you, and great to see everybody here tonight.
There's so many memories, and especially from Cradley. And like tonight, it's like coming home. Everybody says, welcome home, Eric. Well, we are coming home. And to begin, it's just so many stories I couldn't start. It's great to see everybody again.
We could do a DVD just with you, to be fair, Hella, but
you don't have to do that.
No, absolutely, and it's a great night tonight, and for yourself as well as a wife of a speedway rider, how was it during those years to dedicate your entire life to your husband and his job?
That's a big question. Yeah, I don't know. It's
no regrets.
Oh, not one. Mind you, I did pack my suitcase a couple of times, but I didn't bring him out of the house, actually. No, we were very young, I was like 19 when I moved over here, and Eric was like, a couple of years older.
You don't look any older now, Hella.
I'll buy you, I'll give you a beer anyway. I'll get you some Guinness.
But, great times. And
yes, fantastic times. And like, Cradley's always, it's always had a special place in our hearts, and it always will have. And that's why, tonight when he walked on stage and everybody stood up, he was choking, I was choking. I think Nana was crying her eyes out, and she hasn't even met these people before. It's amazing, because like Speedway is a family sport, and it still is. And like coming here tonight, it really is like coming home. Everybody's been so nice, and they were nice,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, let's just turn to you, because I spoke to your mum about the possibility of you coming here for a night like this, because of course you never saw your dad ride. Has this surprised you? Has this taken you by surprise about what your dad means to people?
This is just so big, it's like every single one of these people just have a connection to him, and they're coming towards me and say, oh, your father was just great, and I'm like, well, yeah, I think he's great too, but I don't know them, so it's so big, and when you walked on stage and everybody stood up, I was crying, I don't know any one of these people, but it's touching, very touching. Yeah.
And as a dad, is he a hard dad? Is he a tough dad, or is he a bit soft?
Well, he's a softie. He's just, he's lovely. He can be hard sometimes, but I can be a teenager, so I guess it's okay. But in the end, he's just loving, caring, best daddy ever.
Fantastic. And how aware have you been growing up in Denmark? What have your mum and your dad told you about their time in England?
Well, it's been very special because actually I was brought here, so I can see all of this. They showed me their old house, the roads they used to drive on, and it's just been amazing. You know, every single one of the things they told me was just, you know, lovely. You know, everything has been great and very emotional. So it's very good to finally come here and see what this is all about and meet all the people. It's just great.
And you do go to Speedway now as well, and you enjoy Speedway.
Oh yeah, every chance I get, I go.
And you've sung the national anthem at Voyens and Copenhagen. How nerve-wracking? How nervous were you?
Well, at Boyens, it was very nerve-wracking. I was shaking in my legs, you know, and when we drove around the field, it was just big, again, very big, and you know, Pagan was just wow. I don't even know the words for it because everything is just, yeah, it's so big and you know, yeah.
And do you think? Don't tell anybody here now, but between us, do you think you'll maybe sing that at the end of tonight when we finish?
Well, we have to see about that, but. Maybe.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, Hella. Nana, enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Stage from Sky Sports, Mr. Nigel Pearson, and of course the legend that is the Wonder Gunder, Erik Gundersen.
Come on now, kid.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So, Erik, what a night. Absolutely brilliant, and we've got a bit to go yet. First of all, I'd just like to say thanks to everybody who's come along tonight. And one thing that I can mention to you, by the way, is that our hosts here this evening, the Venue Conference and Banqueting Centre, they've got a fantastic restaurant downstairs that serves a brilliant buffet, food from all over the world. And basically, all heathen season ticket holders, if you show your season ticket down there when you come to eat, you'll get a 10% discount in the restaurant at the Venue restaurant. So bear that in mind. Feel free, take advantage. And it's only fair to say that we thank everybody that has put together this evening before we crack on with the second part of proceedings. I'd like to thank HSSC. I know I've mentioned them once already, but they do sterling work week in and week out. And I'd like to thank everybody, the raffle girls, the auction people, the track shop, Paul, Andy, Will, Simon. They do a fantastic job. So a round of applause for HSSC and everybody that's put together tonight. I should ask as well, there was somebody on the Heathens Facebook page that was worried about not getting his item signed. David Minton? Is David Minton in the audience? Dave, did you get your item signed? Not yet, okay.
You will.
Dave, make sure you see Hella, who's down here, before the end of the night, and your item will be signed. Okay, so well done. And Hella's just down here. Right. Fantastic. All the bar staff, all the staff here tonight from the venue that are doing such sterling work, quick round of applause for them as well, please. And ladies and gentlemen, he is here and he is active and still very much part of the Heathens, despite his mystery disappearance over the last couple of weeks, because he went to work for other people who pay more bloody money than we do. Porky! Wolverhampton. Aye. I'm not going to ask him which he prefers, a Monday or a Tuesday. But no, let's crack on, Erik. And we left in 1983 to move on to 1984, which was a very special year. And before we move on and talk about 1984, let's just take a look at the video wall and have a few recollections of Erik's career. Why not? Fantastic scenes. In 1984, Erik, let's talk about the World Championship that year. Ullevi Stadium, Gothenburg. Talk us through it.
Well, it was just fantastic, really, because everything worked for me, and I had the right equipment going for me, and I was in sort of in a frame of mind that I wanted to go out there and win it. Ollie was beside me, and Hans and me had a bit of a rivalry going, which we had over the years there, and it was a final that started so many things off for me. To win the World Championship the first time is something very, very special. It sort of got my appetite that I wanted to go on and win more. But things changed a lot for me after that, because all of a sudden you were world champion, and I couldn't really understand how to cope with this. And I had, of course, Ollie there helping me out, sorting things out. And at the time, coming back to Cradley and the reception that I had down Dudley Wood and all that was absolutely fantastic. And the '84 season was the season that everything was unreal. I went on to win the World Best Pairs, I won the World Long Track Final, I won the World Team Cup. So I'm the only person that has won all four in the same year, and that's in Guinness Book of Record, Nigel, if you don't know. And as I said earlier, you know, records can be broken, like the one track record I've got, Wembley. But this is one record that'll never be broken, because they don't run the pairs anymore. That's a good thing, you see. I'm happy about that. So, but that was a fantastic year, and things just took off from there, because all of a sudden we were able to get sponsorships, really good sponsorships that I could put back into the sport. I could get better and better equipment. We could get set up with different things that made things easier for us, and also that I not only riding for Cradley, I had open bookings abroad. That was, everybody wanted to see the world champion out there. That was hard, and also being a world champion, you want to be hi Big Al, and he. Here comes Big Al.
I think you've got 2 track records.
Have I got 2 track records, Alan?
The old Bellevue.
Oh, yes, that's right. I share that with Chris Morton, though. But I don't mind doing that. That's right.
Actually, Al.
Thank you very much,
actually, Al, I'm glad Al's come up here, because in that World Final in 1984,
yes,
there was a reserve rider who took 2 rides and got a win and a second.
Yes. Big Al. That's right. I remember that too.
And Lance King was on the rostrum?
Yes.
He was a bloody good year for Cradley, wasn't it?
He was in...
He didn't have 5 rides, really.
5 rides, Al, and you'd have pushed him aside, wouldn't you?
He might have done. But... thank you very much.
Alan Graham, folks.
Alan, that was good information. Thank you, Alan.
So you hold Hyde Road and Wembley?
Yes.
Hyde Road joint with Malt.
And Hyde Road was a nice track as well, with the BLICs and everything happening up there. Shame to see when that track closed down as well. So, where did we get tonight?
Well, 1984, we've talked about the world title, but of course for Cradley it was difficult, because 1983 had left a combined average in excess of 60.
Yeah.
And of course Colin came in and had to do a job of taking the team apart, and it was, you know, an impossible situation for Colin, but you guys still did a great job and had a good season.
Yes, we did. And I think, you know, with Colin and the way that he did things worked out perfectly, and Colin was a different character promoter to the others that had been down at Cradley. It took me a bit of time to settle down with Colin because he came up and spoke with this Cockney accent, which was hard for me to understand. But Colin was he was a really good promoter as well, because all of what he did for us riders, and he understood what we were going through on the track, and team managing. He was doing good. I wasn't always agreeing on what he did on putting the riders in different numbers and that, but it worked out well in the end sometimes. And but we got to what do you say, know each other's strength, and after sort of a year I worked really well with Colin, and right to the end of my career there.
Absolutely. 1985.
Yes.
Bradford, Odsall Stadium.
Yeah.
I was there, and I thought after your first race, I thought that's it. He's knackered it.
Yeah.
Finished third.
I did indeed, and I got filled in really bad, and came back into the pits, and I was moaning and groaning. My brother Preben, who was my mechanic for so many years, he said to me, stop moaning, Erik. If you go and sit down over there, you can still win this championship, and if you don't stop, I'll just load the bikes up and we can go home. So I thought, and he really said that in a manner that, so I understood that. So and so I said, I'll go out and do my best, and we changed bike, and the bike that I came on just flew round, and as the dirt progressed, I was able to just use that, and I felt really free on the bike, and the bike just took me around, and I just hanged on to the handlebars and kept the throttle full on.
I was amazed, looking at the footage, the way you just went out into dirt that nobody else had tried, and it was almost when you were in the turn, you were going sort of straight almost.
Yeah, it was mad, really. Well, it wasn't, because I could see as the dirt moved out, that was the only way to get a fast line, both coming into the corners and that. But I did hit big lumps of shale and dirt that nearly threw me over the handlebar. But I just closed my eyes and kept
closed your eyes?
Yeah, I closed my eyes and kept the throttle on, and I could see this. There was this Sunbright sign coming out of the first and second corner, and it kept coming closer and closer to me, and I just shut my eyes and I opened them again, and I was going down the back straight, and I just took it from there on, really. So that's how you got to do it, Nigel.
Don't try that at home, folks.
No.
And then you had a run-off with Sam and Hans.
Yes.
There can't be anything more pressurised than a run-off for a world title.
No, but at that time the gates had moved so that the inner gates was actually better than the outside, because it was so polished and slick from the outside gate. But Sam moved down and found his place at gate 1 pretty quick, and Hans came down and started digging. And I'd already found my place, because there wasn't really many places to find, so I thought, I've got the whole of gate 4 and I'll just roll up whenever Hans is ready. But he was shoveling around for like a minute and a half, and I was just looking across at him, and I thought, you just carry on doing that, I'm ready, I'm going to beat you. And I did. And when you're in a situation like that, and you sit with the bike leaned across to cool the clutch down, and you get your goggles and everything ready, and you just pump yourself up. But I was just taking like 3 deep breaths, and I was so calm and ready in the upper body, and that's where your reflexes, when they start, really go, and you've got to trap on him, and that's why I trapped on him, and I've done that on a few run-offs and stuff with him, and leaned on him, which you have to do, and just keep the gas going.
Do you think, Erik, that Hans Nielsen sometimes, and maybe Jano can comment on this as well, but Do you think sometimes that Hans Nielsen was too worried about riding against Erik Gundersen than riding the bike?
It's hard to say. Obviously, we had that rivalry between us, and on the league side, and on meetings that we met, Hans would probably beat me more times than I beat him, and he did. But when it came to the psychological thing about when you come to the crunch times in the big meetings that we did in World Finals, I just had that little edge on him, because I think he did think too much about looking out for me, and the only thing he saw was the backside of me.
Your back wheel,
yeah. So,
but I mean, to be fair, you had this bitter rivalry with Hans Nielsen, and of course, Ollie Olsen was involved.
Yeah, Ollie was involved.
And it did turn nasty at times, Erik. But
it did.
Let's just say here and now, what a fantastic rider Hans Nielsen actually was, wasn't he?
And he was, he won the championship 4 times, and that was fantastic. I sort of looked at the different ways of him doing things, and I was doing it my way, but he was an all-round really good rider, and with the Grand Prix system coming in, he would have been a better rider than me maybe over the season. But I like these one-off finals, that way you build up to everything, and you come to the final, and everybody goes home, and a new world champion has been crowned. I felt that build-up was unreal. Now you can win a world championship even without winning a Grand Prix, but still the Grand Prix system as it is now, I think it's the best that has happened to the sport, to get it all over the world and everything, and it's so exciting to watch. I would love to have been in it.
Absolutely. I mean, the standard of the Grand Prix this year, 6 different winners.
Yeah.
Is it the best ever?
I think we're coming up to the best ever Grand Prix season. We shall see who will pull off in the end, but it's going to be very tight.
Do you fancy Greg for a 3rd world title?
I do indeed, and but he's going to be pushed hard. But Greg, he seems to be able to just step up a gear and momentum when things happen, and he's got so much experience, and it's fantastic to see him do things on the bike, and think that he can still do it at the age that he's got.
And of course, you were a major player in Greg's early career and Billy's early career, like Hella was as well, and you welcomed them into your home.
Yes, and that was a fantastic thing after I had my accident, and that because coming back to Austria, where we lived out in on the other side of Tamworth, it was hard to sort of let go, and we decided that we would stay on for as long as it took, and we took Greg and Billy under our wings, and with them in the workshop, 2 young Americans, and Hella cooking up for us all, and I would be in there helping them out and getting them sort of for cradley meetings, coming down to the meetings with them. They were riding some of my bikes first, and it was just great to see that the way they took off. And when you think about it, that Dudley Wood and the cradley track down there, going back to 81 and up through the 80s and onwards, how many world champions that has been produced down in our cradley heath. That is just unbelievable. Nobody will ever do that, what we have done there. So we can all be so proud of that, and you all play the biggest part of that, the supporters, everybody that backs up, and the track, the system that we had, because we were happy. The track knowledge and what we learned on that circuit made us world champions, and that's when I think back to what Ollie said, that is the right track for you, Erik, to learn and go through your paces, and that's why I stayed there all the years that I did.
You never rode for anybody else in British Speedway, Erik, in all the time that you were here? Was there any time you were close to leaving?
No, there wasn't. There was times when the club had a bit of a struggle and with finances and that, and I said I will just ride on, even although I was world champion, I'll ride on for the same deal for next year. I was happy here, and I just for 3 years actually I did that. I never had a rise for what would you call a rise?
Pay rise?
Pay rise for 3 years, and the club just came through that period, and I that's because I was happy there. I knew we were being looked after. We had the pork sarnies.
Carol's here tonight.
And we had the pork scratchings, and we had these lovely sandwiches in the changing rooms, and that Derek Pugh always brought down. And there were so many things that just made the team managers that we had over the years, and all the helpers, and the whole thing just made us so at home. And I thought I wouldn't leave that. I mean, what would a few £1,000s or whatever, or a club change, that would never ever replace that. So I said I would stay here till the end of my career, and so I did.
Excellent. And let's just talk about, you've mentioned the food there, the pork scratchings, the pork sandwiches, but we also know that you're a lover of curry.
Yeah.
And Yano is a big curry fan as well.
Yano is a big curry
Absolutely.
fan.
So
he's been with Clarkie too much, so he's onto the Vindaloos and stuff. I'm not really onto that yet. But
when you boys, after a meeting at Cradley, quite often you would go for a curry just down the road here at the Light of Asia.
Light of Asia. Yano and me, and when Clarkie came up, we always used to go out for a curry, but I've never really met anybody. I love curry so much, and I mean I could eat it once a week, but I've never met anybody like Yano. Yano, he would eat a curry every day. I mean, one time I came. We were over at Yano's house, and we had a takeaway curry at his home. And I don't know why I stayed over. I think I stayed over because we had to fly out to somewhere, and there was a bit left in the takeaway trays, and they were left in the kitchen there. And as we were leaving early in the morning to go somewhere, there was just a bit there, and Yano just grabbed a spoon and he went, "Oh, that's nice. I'll just have that."
Is that true, Yano?
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, Yano could eat that for breakfast. He really would. But that is good. That is good.
And you're going to take some curry home with you, are you?
We're definitely taking curries home. We do that every year. Helle is over at Rita's. He brings curries home, and we freeze them down. But it's only mattress, king prawn mattress, and pilau rice, and that's me.
Oh, I'm hungry.
That is the business. I might try a Vindaloo later tonight, though. No, never mind.
Fantastic. And on the Cradley front, 85, 86, 87, throughout those years, they didn't win the league, but obviously the knockout cups.
The knockout cups, yeah.
You know, you were specialists in the cup competitions, weren't you?
Yes, we were, and we were battling hard for the leagues. We were still right up there, but it didn't materialize. But we were still doing really well, and we had the teams to be able to win the league, but it didn't happen.
And let's move on to 89, shall we?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes.
Obviously, a time that everybody will recall.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you any questions about it, Erik, but can you tell us a story about the crash and the aftermath? And
yes, sure.
I'll just leave it to you to talk us through.
Well, 89 was the season when we decided after the 88 final in Denmark that Helle and me would do one more season in England for Cravey, and we told the promotion because we was thinking I was coming on to be 30 at the time, and there was a lot of traveling and a lot of pressure on, and I felt that it was time for Helen and me to, or we felt that it was time for us to move back to Denmark. So I said this would be the last season I would do for cradley, and everything was. I had a fantastic season, both for cradley, and I was right up there in the averages, and we had in the World Team Cup, and I mean the pairs, and I won that, and individually I finished 4th, I think, at Munich. So I had a great year, and then of course we had the World Team Cup final there, September 17th at Bradford, where I had the crash on the first corner, and we were under a lot of pressure for that, because we had won the World Team Cup the year before at Long Beach, so we were up against the hard English team, and we had Tommy Knudsen injured at the moment at that time, and we had a very good team spirit in the Danish camp. Hans and I had sort of worked out that if we would get full figures, both of us, and the rest could score, we might have a chance of winning it. And then I went out in that first race and locked up a bit on the first corner. I made a fantastic start from the outside, and locked up a bit on the first corner, and Lance and Jimmy Nielsen had a bit of a tangle on the first corner, which meant that they couldn't turn the bikes, and they caught my back wheel, and I flipped over and had the accident there.
Do you remember it? Do you remember everything about it, Erik?
I remember laying on the track. There was a lot of noise, and all of a sudden everything went quiet. I remember laying on the track with my head staring into the shale, and I couldn't breathe. I was sort of gasping for air, and I couldn't understand why. I couldn't get the air because I've had like a stomach pump, or what do you call it? Lost my air before, where you sort of can breathe again, but I couldn't do that this time, and after a while, maybe a minute and then I just saw that tunnel vision, and I also recall that I was trying to scream for help, help me, but I couldn't.
But you couldn't scream?
No, I couldn't say anything, because I had swallowed my own tongue because of the fracture that I had in my neck. So the tongue just fell back in my throat, and I couldn't. But luckily for me, the doctor on scene saw straight away that it could be a spinal injury or a neck. So they got that sorted out, and they put something down my throat and backed me on the way to hospital. So, and the next thing after that was 4 or 5 days after I woke up at Pinderfields, and the first thing I thought was my wife, Hella, looking at me, and I had tubes in everywhere, and just laying there and trying to say things, and I couldn't. But she was blinking to me, and then you're going to be all right, and talking to me. I could hear her, and you're going to be okay, and that. And then I was then in Pinderfields. I mean, in the intensive care there for a month, in traction for 7 weeks up there, and then I was moved on to the ward, and then the physio started and everything. And I was so lucky being on a ward with 33 beds, and I was there for like nearly 5 months, and I was the only one that walked out of there, so that's how lucky I was. I had what they call an incomplete fracture to C1 and C2 in the neck, and I was lucky to get back on my feet again and walk out of there.
I should say, I did ask Erik before tonight, was he okay talking about it?
I am.
And I'm quite sure that it's an inspirational story, because the way you've hit back and led your life after that, I think is just an inspiration to everybody in this room, Erik.
Well, think I've seen a lot of things over the years, and the dangers that there is in sport, not just in speed but in other sports and that. But it's I was just lucky in the way that I was able to get up and get on with things, and we all have those powers within us. If situations like that happen, and of course I had a great support from so many people that helped with the Stepping Stones Appeal Fund up there, raised a lot of money for children ward up there, and there was so many cards came in, and that spurred me on. I wanted to get back and be as good as I could, and like the year we spent with Greg and Billy at our place helped a lot as well, just to heal those things and to get on, and also when we were moving back to Denmark, I felt this is the time when we start on something new, and for me in '93 when we had our daughter Nana was because that was one of the things that we during the career we thought with me traveling around, or with Hella as well traveling around so much, we didn't feel like trying to get a child. So when we moved back home to Denmark, and luckily it happened in '93, and that momentum of focus on me was taken away, and I had to handle little Nana there with one arm and doing things, but everything worked out fine. I had to go to physiotherapy and getting everything organized on that, but things just carried on from there, and I was then employed by the DMU for 10 years as a national coach, and that did as well a lot for me, because when you think about it, because I have had a visible disability, I was dragging my leg and just getting along as good as I could, and I was thinking, what would the parents and the kids think of me, because I was training youngsters as well back home then. But I just told everybody that it was just an accident. It could happen. I've been in worse crashes than that, and it was just an accident. And accident does happen in speedway, and there are riders that has come away much worse, and they accepted all these things, and even today with the work that I do today, they all know that, because some of the kids that I work with have never seen me ride other than on YouTube or different things, but their parents tell them about me, and that helps and gives me so much back, although that I'm trying and working on putting something back into the sport as well, which I've now for the last 6 years I'm doing this youth academy in Denmark, where we have them from 80cc up to 500 and moving on, and we've got so many good riders coming through, and I think you might all have seen some of the ones that I've worked with from the World Team Cup the other week, and we've got about 5, 6, 8 who's as good as those. So we are looking good for Danish Speedway in the next few years, I think.
So Michael Jepsen Jensen, Mikkel B. Jensen, they've won the World Cup for Denmark, and they're your boys.
They are from 80cc, and I worked with them for 5 years ago, and right up to now I'm working still with them. I have over, let me just see now, I've got 8 80cc riders in my group, plus 2 groups with 12 80cc riders, and then I have the 500s. I've got 12 in one group and 7 in another, and I'm out practicing 3 to 4 times a week with them during the season here, and it is it is a good system we've got in Denmark, and I just wish that you had the same facilities for that here in England, because that's all the sport needs is a new British world champion. But it'll never happen if the BSBA or the ACU don't come down to saying that we must adapt to this, because we have it in Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and in Poland now. Excuse me. In Poland, had a look at our system 5 years ago, and they have opened up, I think it's 12 tracks now, where they're riding 80cc bikes. And I just read that in Russia they've built 3 new tracks, and they've got over 200 80cc riders. So they are adapting our system as we have in Denmark. And I have offered years ago to come over and introduce it to British Speedway. I've got a book, I've got the whole thing set up how to do it, and we need tracks, obviously, and the system that we could do, I've got that as well, and we could do with riders, former riders over here that could run schemes similar to what we do back home. It's so easy done, and I've said I've offered to come over and do it for free. I'll do it again here tonight. I just need a call from the BSBA, and I've said this 5 times and I've never been approached. So BSBA, ACU, I'm ready whenever you are.
And also, we should just say as well, one of your products, Nikolai Clint, is in the audience tonight, and of course, Nikolai's had a shoulder injury, but he's got what it takes, hasn't he, Nikolai? He can go a long way.
He'll go a long way. Nikolai is one rider that I've worked with a lot as well. He's gone through a rough time, but he is working really hard at it. Nikolai is one to watch out for when he is fit and raring to go, and he's got an ability to see different lines, riding the bike good. But I've just told him, I don't know how many times I've told him, and he knows what I'm going to say. Is he still here? He knows exactly what I'm going to say now, but Nikolai has this thing that he keeps looking back a lot. I don't know if you noticed. And he goes off the grip every time he does that. I know he's a fantastic team rider, and he knows where his fellow team rider is on the track, but he's got, and I think another thing with the Danish team this year in the World Team Cup, and with the riders, just because we went for the really young ones this year, Nikolai could have been one of them had he been fit, and it's just going to spear on Nikolai's career even more now. We just got to get him properly fit, get him back on the track, and if I'm not here, Nigel, just keep reminding Nikolai to just look straight, you know.
So I'm passing your messages on to Nikolai, am I?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, we've had a couple of messages on the phone tonight for you, Erik. Here we go. My colleague, Kelvin Tatum. Not true, by the way. Remember the Knockout Cup final of '89 when Kelvin guested against Wolverhampton, scored double figures, and Cradley beat Wolverhampton? Say hi to Gundo for me and hope everybody has a great night. That's from Kelvin.
Thank you.
Okay, and Simon Cross. Crossy sent me a message earlier, and he said, here we go.
You're on Facebook now.
I'm on Twitter now.
Yeah.
Big kiss to Gundy. Have a great evening, and say hi to all the Cradley fans. Love you all, Simon Cross.
Oh, Simon.
So there you go, folks. Eric, we've got, obviously, just to round the evening up, you're aware that we've got the Dudley Heathens right now, and we're battling away and doing everything we can to get a track of our own right now.
Yes.
But we've got the Golden Hammer coming up. It's a rearranged fixture, a week on Tuesday. And of course, you were pretty good at the Golden Hammer, and what a great night the Golden Hammer was at Dudley Wood.
Yeah, that was something completely special, and it's a shame that all these open meetings across the country is not run anymore. But the Golden Hammer was unreal, you know, to go out and win that I was so proud when I won the Golden Hammer. I think Jano won, didn't he? Jano win a few? Yes.
Big Al won 1984.
And Big Al, 84. But it was such a prestigious meeting to win. And the build-up and the line-up, it was like a world final.
Did you ever win a Hoover or a settee? Or a microwave oven?
I did win a few. I had a microwave I had all different things. I think Helen remembers more of those things. But it was fantastic. There was prizes on every race, and the sponsorship that was there was unbelievable. So everybody wanted to come and ride in the Golden Hammer as well. So yeah, fantastic memories.
Well, Eric, it's just been brilliant that we've actually been able to do this tonight, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in the audience tonight that thought this night would actually never happen, and it has. And with thanks to Rita for putting up the Gundersen family and being a great friend to the Gundersen family down the years, and a good pal of mine and Eric's, Richard Clark from the Speedway Star magazine, who's the editor of Speedway Star, who's here tonight and does great coverage for the Heathens. Clark, you're a legend. Thanks ever so much for everything you've done, and I just think that tonight has proved once again the passion and commitment for this great club. And you know, 2 or 3 years ago this would never have happened, and here we are. It's just something special, isn't it?
It is fantastic, and I just want to thank everybody who's worked on getting this on tonight. Jano said to me, "You're gonna enjoy this, Erik," and I'm lost for words because coming back home, all the messages that I've had on Facebook from all of you, of which I'm friends with, has warmed me so much, and my family, and you all mean the world to me, and I'll never ever forget you, and I shall thank you for making this happen for me tonight. It's been a trip down memory lane, yeah, I'm coming back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's not quite over. It's not quite over. Now, Erik is very tired right now, okay? So he is going to sign some autographs, but if you are left disappointed, we apologise. But Erik will come to the side of the stage and sign whatever you feel like signing, okay? Yep. But he is very tired, so if you do miss out, then please accept our apologies. But he really has pushed the boat out. Erik doesn't fly. He had to have a 24-hour ferry journey to come over for this short break that he's had over here with the family. And the main inspiration behind that was seeing you all tonight, okay? Yeah. So you will sign a few autographs, Erik, and do whatever you can.
I'll do whatever I can.
But if Erik feels that he has to move off with the family, then that's absolutely understandable, and I hope you'll understand that for us. There's one more thing that we're going to do before we wrap the evening up, and this is going to send a shiver down your spine, folks, like you have never experienced before. What we're going to do is we're going to call up Erik's daughter, Nana. If you join us now, Nana, please. Give Nana a round of applause, Erik's daughter. Nana, would you go to the front of the stage there for us? And ladies and gentlemen, would you please be upstanding, all of you, for the Danish national anthem, a cappella style. Here we go. Nana, over to you.
Der et yndigt land, det stormede bøger, nær salten Østerstrand, nær salten Østerstrand. Det bugter sig i bakkedal, det hedder gamle Danmark, og det er fra jer selv, og det er fra jer selv. Vort gamle Danmark skal bestå, så længe bøgen spejler sin top i bølgen blå, sin top i bølgen blå.
Thank you.
Well done. Nana Gundersen. And ladies and gentlemen, for the last time tonight, I'll leave you with a standing ovation for this man because he deserves it. The King of Cradley, Erik Gundersen!
I call you, I need you, my heart's on fire. You come to me wild and wild.
Keep it going, folks.
You come to me.
Hella. Come on, Hella.
Give me everything I need.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Me like
Hella Gundersen!
world of dreams. Speak the language of love like you know what it means. And it can't be wrong. Take my heart and make it strong. You're simply the best. Better than all.
Well, what a great night that was, very emotional, and a packed house as well, which is what we'd probably expect really. And there's still people after the show now, after Erik's autograph. He's doing his best to oblige. It's been a wonderful evening with a true legend, and thanks so much indeed for watching this DVD. We hope you've enjoyed it. What a great night, and a true Cradley legend. The King of Cradley is known as, of course, and it's meant a lot to him as well coming here tonight. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.